Oops. Hello, family. Greetings. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Grand rising, great rising. Good evening. You know what's funny is I was talking to my best friend, Taj, one of my greatest friends today, and he was like, "You need to make sure you take a break today. I don't want to catch you saying happy wins, yay, family. I gotta go live. I got breaking news, but I do have some wonderful breaking news. You guys know I love to give the financial forecast, and I'm just learning that more things are happening in the background. So check in and let us know where you're hailing from. Now, I do apologize for the short notice, but I just have to let you all know that a lot of beautiful things are going on in the financial arena. So family, I got to tell you this because I've been checking to see how many states have reclaimed silver and gold as money, because when that happens, that lets you know that we have returned to the republic. So keep checking in, family. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. Welcome. Today is Wednesday, or as my friend, when he makes fun of me, he says, I'll say wins. Yay! So happy wins. Yay evening. This is Wednesday, January the 22nd, 2025, and the time is 8:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We did start at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm so happy to see everybody. Keep checking in. This is a wonderful time to be alive. I know that we just had the inauguration 2 days ago, but even before the inauguration, we knew that wonderful things were happening in our reality, and we're so fortunate and so blessed to be here. So I hope you all can hear me. Check in. Let us know how you're doing. Yes, I see that everything's okay on my end. Hello, que sera. It's good to see you. Welcome. I see Patricia is in the house. Awaken One is here. Lisa's in the house. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Hi, Brandy. It's good to see you. Hi, Sister Patricia from East Tennessee. I know you guys are probably making sure you stay warm because it is freezing outside. And if it's cold in Florida, and there were light flurries here in Florida this morning, I know you guys are cold wherever you are in your neck of the woods. So keep checking in. Grab you some hot chocolate, some hot tea, coffee, water, whatever your beverage of choice is, a glass of wine, whatever, because we got some good news tonight, family. I see Crystal is in the house. Hello, C. Jones. Welcome. K. Sarah. Again, it's good to see you. Cheryl says, thank you, Queen, from Victoria, California, all the way from Cali. Hello, sister. Hi, Sister Crystal Marie. Hello, Beyond. And D Loves Beyond Drugs or Beyond RX is in the house. I see Lewis here in the house. Hello, Lewis. God bless you as well. And you're more than welcome for all the information. Sister Charlotte is here. She says, good evening. Hello, Empress Vicky J. The Empress is in our presence. We are so honored that you stopped by to see us, Empress. It's good to see you. Ivy, is that Ivy? No, that is, KTRY from Cleveland, Ohio, my hometown. Hello, I see you are streaming in from Rumble. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see who else is in the house. This is Big Daddy Guru's in the house. Says, yes, ma'am. Hi, Big Daddy. Okay. Good to see you here. Virginia's in the house from South Carolina. I see Sister Linda, excuse me. Good evening. Oh, Central Texas. I heard some of your cities in Texas got hit with snow as well. Welcome. Wade is in the house from Alabama. Hello, Wade. Robert Mitchell is here. Good evening from Ohio, my home state. Sister Etta is in the house. It's good to see you, sister. Who else is here? Info needed. Good evening to you. David Saya says the RV will happen by February the 1st. Okay. Sister Cheryl's in the house. Hello from Ontario, Canada. Horatio is always checking in, saying thank you so much for your beautiful spirit. You are welcome. Hello, also Akachi. Good to see you. Happy Wednesday evening to you as well. Crystal Marie says Boston is freezing cold. KMT Connection says greetings to the family. Kevin Hamilton is in the house. He says peace and strength. Peace and strength to you, my love. Patricia's in the house. She said it's 5 degrees where she was. At least it was this morning. Irma is here, sends regards from Nebraska. No, from the Netherlands. Wow. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here all the way from the Netherlands. We think we have cold. I can't even imagine what it's like there. I Care is in the house from West Palm Beach. Roll call. Everybody's checking in. Love being Nubian. One of our moderators is in the house. Hey, sister, it's good to see you. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us and for agreeing to be a part of the Soul family and monitoring the chat. Lisa says Alabama's in the house. Laurie says love from Juno Beach, Florida. Daniel Samerville is here, says you rocking it, Dr. Pruitt. Thank you so much. Magic Rhinestone is in the house from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Also, we have Ruben Rodriguez, who's been part of our Soul family for many years. Thank you, Brother Ruben. It's so good to see you. Mwah. You know I love you very much. Hi, he's on my Facebook page as well as always checking in on our YouTube channel. I'm very grateful for you, Ruben. Jermaine, it's good to see you. He says, I appreciate all your hard work. Thank you, Jermaine. I appreciate you receiving the information that we give. Howard T. Jones II is in the house. Hi, Amy. It's good to see you. Who is that? Stila is in the house. Wiley from Washington State. Ooh, I know it's cold there. Hi, Sister Sonia. It's good to see you. Justin's in the house. Look at all the people that are here. Good evening to you as well. Sin Melbert is in the house. Beautiful soul you are. Thank you so much. Also, Jaquez is in the house. Hello, Jaquez. Oliver from Quebec. Wow. And Toinette Porter is in the house. Hello, my darling, my sister from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They call that the sister, isn't that the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, the city of sisterly love, is it? Or is it brotherly love? I might be confusing. Is it sisterly love or brotherly love? Welcome, Sister Antoinette. Sade is in the house from New Jersey. We got good information for you from New Jersey. Ooh, I have to just tell you, sister, since you are in New Jersey, this great news, breaking news, and we're going to get into it in just a few seconds. Hello, Michael. It's good to see you as well from New Hampshire. Who else? Nor Elisa is here sending love and light to us all. Sandy is in the house from Brooklyn. Gratitude for all you do, she says. It is my great pleasure. Also, I see Dana Wrights is in the house. Welcome. Any news on Patriot still? Yes, I talked to him last night. This is a good time to segue into that. He called me actually yesterday afternoon. I was at my grandchildren's school for a parent-teacher conference, and he is still in the hospital. He sounds like he's doing a little better, but he is in not in a good condition. He has several broken bones. He had a broken sternum, broken wrist, bones in his back broken, bones in his leg broken, and he required a major surgery a couple mornings ago, and then he's going to have more surgeries, he just found out. And they're saying that he's going to have to spend some time convalescing, not only there in the hospital, but then they're going to have to send him to a rehab facility because he's going to have to learn how to walk all over again. So he said, Patriot Rod Steele said that this was the worst accident he's ever been in. His car was T-boned. He said in all his years of driving, it is the worst experience he's had. And he's just recovering from cancer as well and trying to get his testosterone up. So he was going through a lot of treatments. And then to have this happen, it set him back. So he asked us to tell his soul family that if he has consultations scheduled with you, he's going to try his best to do those consultations from his hospital bed, because he doesn't want you all to think that he's not trying to handle his commitment. So he says, please DM him or direct message him on his Twitter page. So that's Patriot Rod Steele. You can find him on X or Twitter. Send him a direct message in that box and let him know that you are one of the ones that paid to have a consultation, and leave your phone number, and he'll try his best to get back with you. I don't know how quickly he'll be able to do that, but he was really in a bad shape. I've talked to him. I've talked to his wife, and I will continue to follow up on him. So pray for him. He is our resident, I call him our resident financial advisor, because he's been in this business as a financial advisor for like decades. So he has a lot of information on the reinstatement, and revalues of currencies, and he knows about currency exchanges and all that. So pray for him, family. That's the update that I got on yesterday, and I will call him again tomorrow. Thank you so much, Sister Donna, for asking about Patriot Rod Steele. I see Sister Meat MZ, or I don't know if it's a sister or not. MZ79 says, shout out from Chi-Town, Chicago. Much love, sis stars. Good to see you too. We have 458 people in the chat. We're going to get started 471 as soon as we get to 500, which will be in a few minutes. Walter is here, says, peace family from South Carolina. Sister Tamika, we've been friends and C stars for a while on Facebook. So it's good to see you. I'm so glad. It's been years. So glad to have you here. She says, hey, sister. I also see Daniel in the house. Welcome. Ariana says, greetings. It's good to see you too, Sister Ariana. Thank you all for allowing me to go over the people that are in the chat and give people shout outs. I appreciate your patience with me. Ariana's from South Jersey. We got good information for you. LJ is in the house from Conyers, Georgia. I love Conyers, right outside of Atlanta, about 25 minutes, I think it is. Hello from Tampa, Florida. Hello, Nora Elisa, it's good to see you. M. Rice is here, says, aloha. Hello, we have 506 in the chat. All right. They have snow in South Georgia. Hi, Brandy. Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Hi, Magic Rhinestone Adventure. It's good to see you as well. 1 degree tonight where you are. Sister Lori says, hello, Kia. I am from Maryland. And yes, I'm a strong Trump supporter. All right, Sister Lori. Hello, family. Good evening for all of you that are just checking in. It's so good to see Lavina saying good evening, Queen Mother. It's freezing in DC too. Wow, sister. Oh, and we also want to say thank you so much for I Care giving us a blessing. And speaking of blessings, I want to say, may the Creator bless you all who give and who constantly show me love. I am so appreciative. May the Most High bless you 1,000-fold more than what you have done for me. And I also want to recognize people that gave yesterday. Yesterday, we had an amazing podcast with Chief Mack. And I was just doing a podcast to cover what happened during the inauguration and how, we see the death of the deep state happening and how we're transitioning to a new golden era. And it just so happened that Chief Mack was in the audience. And so what I did was brought him on the screen and he gave some great information. You all were so appreciative of that information. And so many of you expressed your gratitude. So during that podcast, though, people sent me blessings, financial blessings. And I always want to acknowledge those of you who do that. So I'll take the time now to say thank you, Tristan. Thank you, Cameron, as well, for blessing me. I appreciate you so much. All of you that bless me financially, I am so grateful because you don't have to do that. I also want to say thank you to Teresa for blessing me, sending me a Cash App blessing. God bless you. Heaven smile on you. Who else is this? Willie Sims. Thank you so much. And I hope it's okay for you all that I mention your names. If you don't want me to mention your name or your full name, then I will honor that as well. Also, who is this? Our Nicholas. Thank you so much for blessing me, sending me a Cash App blessing. Also, Cartania, Jonda. Thank you so much. Or Taiwanda. Thank you. Sister Sheila Wallace. Thank you so much. Also, Dennis Perkins, who's always coming through in the chat, giving us blessings and encouraging words. Thank you for your financial blessing. Also, Norma, I appreciate you, Sister Norma. Salayan, I think it is, or Norma S. Rose Marie or Rosemary Wynn Holland. Thank you so much. Taj Diami Bay, thank you. And also thank you, Sister Carol Rashford. So all of you that send me a blessing, I just want to let you know that I appreciate you so very much. So what's going on in the financial realm? So much, family. 609 people in the chat. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and you want to share this video. Daniel says, I love your content, but I got to ask, why do you believe that there are two Trumps? Could this whole thing be clones and stuff? If so, why? There was a very famous person, Baba Dick Gregory, and we know him. Dick Gregory was a comedian, and he actually not only was a comedian, but thank you for the Cash App blessing, Sister Norma. You sent me another blessing. I appreciate you. He actually ran for president. He was an African-American man, and he was an entertainer. Dick Gregory let us know that there were two Trumps a long time ago. He said there are two Trumps. And he said, a lot of you won't know how to receive this, but there really are two Donald Trumps. When you know certain people that are related to him, some people would say that he had a twin. I don't know if that's true or not, but Dick Gregory said that, and soon after he said that, he wound up being unalive. But people can see that there are many actors, clones, people wearing masks and all that come on all the time to sit in for a lot of political officials and a lot of actors and actresses. It's just something that people know happens, and it's something that people in the industry have said. That's why I said we know that there are two Trumps. And you can tell when he comes up, you can tell sometimes he's taller than normal, sometimes he's shorter than normal, especially when he stands beside certain people. Some people were saying, hey, wasn't he at a certain height compared to Vance before, and now it's changed. So it depends on how you see things, your perspective, whether or not you see it or not. So family, let's get into the financial news. We have breaking news, family. I will continue to acknowledge people in the chat, but New Jersey just became the 46th state to repeal the state sales tax from the sales of precious metals, thus making us very close to going back to the gold standard. Now, I know a lot of people are wondering, can we trust Donald Trump? Can we really trust that the Republicans are going to do what they say they're going to do? But my encouragement to everybody else is you be the savior that you want to see in the world. We are the saviors for which we're looking. Yes, I support this whole conservative movement. Absolutely. What I support more than anything is us utilizing our power to make things happen. So if you want to see more states become compliant with the Constitution that says we must use silver and gold as money, then work at the state level, okay? Because the 10th Amendment also actually says that the local community can override federal regulations. I don't think a lot of people know that. So you and I need to work at the local level. We have way more power than the federal government. The federal government is not even a real government, okay? This is a bloodline families or people that took power over from the republic. So now states are fighting back. How can they do that? Because states are countries. That's why they have their own constitution that must, as long as it aligns with the Constitution for the republic, that's why they have their own lawmakers. So again, New Jersey just became the 46th state to repeal the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. And the reason why this is breaking news is because it just happened in January. And what I found interesting is that, we did find an article that was by the Sound Money Defense League that had said that there were over 45 states that were restoring silver and gold as money. And I've been reporting this along the way. First it was 13 states. And in 2020, there were only 13 states using silver and gold as money. And what happened was states were starting to change the laws to use silver and gold as legal tender, meaning you can use silver and gold to buy local goods and services in those states. There were only 13 when I made this announcement in 2020. And then each year, not right after 2020, but each year as states started reclaiming silver and gold as money, I made sure I let people know. Then when it became 42 states, I let people know 42 states reclaimed silver and gold as money. Then 43, then 44. And then, of course, I had to announce 45 because I raised my kids in Kentucky. And I had to say, Kentucky is now the 45th state to reclaim silver and gold as money. We only had 5 more states to go. So this article that had come out when in just I want to say a few months ago, I'll show it to you in a few minutes, but no, I think it was last year, talked about how state laws can restore gold and silver as money. And when you scroll down here, of course, it talks about what that means and how when you remove the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals, you are acknowledging gold and silver as money. Here it says to date, 45 states have removed some or all taxes from the purchase of gold and silver. Of the 5 states that still apply this outmoded tax to purchases of gold and silver or precious metals, most of them are expected to consider ending this tax in 2025. Now, that article was published. Let me see when it says it was published. I don't see a date, but we did announce this last year. and it was updated. This was updated in 2025. So last year when we announced this, there was 45 states. And I told you there were only 5 more states to go. And then we just got information that shows us that now New Jersey is the 46th state. Let me see if I can find that for you. Here it is. This is an article. New Jersey was the 46th state to remove taxes on precious metals effective January the 1st, 2025. This was archived through the passage of New Jersey Senate Bill 721. Okay, so this is great news, family. We only have 4 more states to do that. Those 4 more states that will now need to push forward legislation to make silver and gold as money are Hawaii, Maine, New Mexico, and Vermont. Only 4 more states, and they are slated to do that in 2025 of this year. This is great news. This is breaking news, and this is monumental because according to our Constitution, the only thing that can be used to pay off the debts are silver and gold. And the Constitution also states that the dollar is defined as a fixed weight in silver. And then you had Representative Alexander Mooney to come forward in 2018 to introduce House Resolution 5404 to make the dollar, define the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. Then he came back in 2022 to define the dollar as a fixed weight in gold with House Bill 9157. Then he came back in 2023 with House Bill or House Resolution 2435. And Alexander Mooney called those 3 bills the Gold Standard Restoration Act. So what you see doing now is states taking back their power. They're moving at the state level in their sovereignty and operating in their sovereignty. Now, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, this is good news and this is breaking news because using gold and silver as money then completely does away with fiat currency. Okay, remember what I said about working at the state level. This is according to the 10th Amendment. According to this 10th Amendment, the local community can override the federal government. So when you look up the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, it kind of reminds you of or is similar to Article 2 of the Articles of Confederation. So what it says basically is that each state retains its sovereignty and its independence, and every power, jurisdiction, and right that is not by the Confederation expressly delegated to the United States and Congress assembled. So each state retains its sovereignty, its freedom, and its independence, regardless to what the federal government is doing. And that's why state legislators are passing laws. So they didn't have to because the Republic already says that the only thing we can use to pay off debt is silver and gold, but they took it upon themselves to do that. So if you see something that you don't like happening with the federal government, you can work at the state level. Use your power, your sovereignty to change laws. You can put pressure on the people that are operating, but we do know that most of the people that are operating in Congress right now, they're going to have to be done away with that. We're going to just have to be honest with that because I already talked about this. If they have a title of nobility or Esquire behind their name, they're unlawfully serving. So we need to really be putting pressure on them to be removed from office. But that's going to happen anyway with the overturning of the Chevron Doctrine, which said that a lot of these federal agencies and entities that were operating have to be dismantled because they're unconstitutional and treasonous. And that's also going to have to happen because there was a lawsuit that was filed that commanded that all of these people that are operating right now, at least under the Biden administration, had to prove their oath of office, that they filed an oath of office. And there was no swearing or oath of office filed anywhere. So a lot of them are going to have to be removed, which really just opens it up for you and me to work at the state level. And for those of you who don't know, the Republic is being re-inhabited. I can put it in the description section how you can get involved with the newly re-inhabited Republic. Okay, we'll put a number there, or you can contact Gold Star Mother Susan Price, but you can operate at the newly re-inhabited Republic But before all of that happens and the republic is fully restored in your state, you can put pressure on your lawmakers right now and command that they do whatever it is that you need them to do to ensure your sovereignty, your freedom, and your independence. Because again, according to the 10th Amendment, states and state powers override the federal government. Okay, so this is interesting. This is exciting. Right now, in those 46 states, you can use silver and gold as legal tender, meaning that you can buy local goods and services right now using gold backs, using gold, and using silver. And for many of you who thought that that never happened, I'm from the state of Ohio, and there was this gentleman who had bought a home with gold. Because he had bought a home with gold and had established himself as being sovereign, and he didn't operate, like most people operate as a citizen. The United States government and nobody could fly over his airspace. They couldn't fly over his airspace. They couldn't do any so-called modifications. You know how some cities take jurisdiction over your property and they say they have eminent domain? None of them. They couldn't do any of that. They couldn't even come in his space, around his space, because he was sovereign. He was operating under his sovereignty, and he had utilized gold to buy his home. So everything, his airspace above him belonged to him, the whole home and everything underneath him and around him. This is real. And we are returning to being sovereign people. So if you are interested, I would encourage you to go ahead and get gold and silver. So what you can do is actually go to your local gold and silver coin dealer, because you want to establish a relationship with them anyway, and get you some gold and silver as we move into this new golden era. Or you can contact our affiliate. You guys know that I was an affiliate with Miles Franklin for like 2 or 3 years. And if you don't have anybody that you can go to, then you can contact Miles Franklin at 952-929-7006 and let them know that you heard about his company from the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. So this is wonderful news, family, and this is part of NESARA. So for those of you who are not familiar with NESARA, NESARA is the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. The global version of that is the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. This was an act that was passed into law in 2000. It was signed, the bill was signed by Bill Clinton, who was the president at the time. He didn't want to do it because he was allegedly, as we all know, operating with the other bloodline families to keep us enslaved. This bill was very important because the farmers, who are the backbone of our country, took the United States Incorporated to court and their central banking system and said that the banks had forced them to sow Monsanto seeds and to sow sick seeds and do things to cattle against their will. But if they wanted a loan from the banks to continue farming, they had to go along with these regulations. Now that goes right back to the Chevron Doctrine, because the Chevron Doctrine said that all of these government agencies, I put them in quotation marks, were allowed to come up with statute codes, legalities, policies, anything that they wanted to. They could take the freedom, the liberty to do whatever they want and force people to do it. And if you did it, you could be fined. And if you went to court, the judges would defer you right back to those federal agencies and say you had to do it. Okay. Including the farmers, they had to abide by whatever the central banking system does because it's part of the federal government. So that was what the Chevron Doctrine was. But we're talking about two things here. This summer, the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron Doctrine, and then it became named or known as the Chevron Deference, because the judges would defer you back to them, and they'll say that those federal agents were experts in their area, so you had to obey them, you had to pay the fines. Well, when the Supreme Court overturned the Chevron Doctrine or Chevron Deference, they said that these federal agencies were being unlawful, unconstitutional, and treasonous. And any judge that deferred you back to them, if you found yourself in court, if they deferred you back to those federal agencies, they committed treason. And if there was a judge that knew of a judge that allowed this to happen, they committed and didn't report it to the president, they committed misprision of treason. So again, the agencies are treasonous, the FBI, the CIA, the central banking system, the EPA, all 441. I have a list of 441 government agencies, all homeowners association, all of them, CPS, they are now unconstitutional. If you are a judge and you allowed that to happen and you deferred right back to those agents, you are now treasonous. If you are a judge and you knew of a judge that allowed that to happen and you didn't report it to the president, you have committed misprision of treason. Okay, so now the Chevron doctrine has been overturned. But before all that, the farmers had to comply, okay, with whatever the central bank said, the arm of the federal government, central bank. And so when they took them to court and said they were forcing us to do certain things in order to get a loan, or else they would steal the loans from us or put higher interest rates on our loans, then what happened was a lot of those farmers came up missing. They became unalive. A lot of their attorneys came up missing, because you don't go up against these bloodline families and think you're just going to, survive through it. But the farmers kept pressing on, and it reached the highest courts in the land, and they won their case, and it was determined that indeed the Federal Reserve central banking system had committed fraudulent banking practices against the farmers. The Supreme Court and the highest courts, the world courts, went further and said that not only had the central banks committed treason and had taken liberties that were nefarious against the farmers, but they did it to we the people in America and abroad. So it was determined then that the farmers had won their claims, and that when the republic is restored, the farmers would be repaid for all of these nefarious banking practices, the interest rates being put upon them and land being confiscated if they didn't comply, and all type of things they had to abide by in order to, some things that we might not even know about or can speak about, that they had to do in order to get loans from the central banking system. So once they won their claim, the legend goes that the pressure was put upon the presidents to announce that they had won a claim, and that the National Economic Security and Reformation Act was supposed to be made public on September 11th, 2001. And that announcement was supposed to come from the Pentagon. Okay, with NESARA being now law, the farmers were supposed to be compensated, and then we the people for these nefarious, unlawful banking practices. Well, what happened was no president wanted to sign that into law. And these claims started like in the 80s and went all the way through the 90s. So legend has it that the military stormed in the White House and went to the White House and forced Bill Clinton to sign this into law in 2000. So it was supposed to be announced September 11th, 2001. You know what happened? The gold that was in the towers was supposed to be put forward to pay off the debt. On that day, what happened was they took the gold out of the towers, according to our research. And you know what happened? Some people were told not to come to work, and then they imploded the towers, blamed it on, Middle Easterners. And also the announcement was supposed to come from the Pentagon never happened. And you guys know that they sent some type of airplane or some apparatus into the Pentagon. So that was on 9/11. That's what happened. That now is what 9/11 is known for. And it was supposed to be known for us celebrating our freedom and prosperity, because with NESARA being announced was supposed to come amazing benefits. Not only were the farmers supposed to be paid out for all the suffering they had endured from these nefarious banking practices, but so were we the people, all of us. And the farmers, according to the ruling, was supposed to be paid out in gold and or gold-backed currencies. So that's why so many people are excited about us being moved into or ushering in this golden era. Again, whether or not we think this administration is going to do it really should not be a major concern, because I told you with the 10th Amendment, you have power. First of all, you're already sovereign, but the states can override the federal government. And if, just in case nobody knows this for sure, let me see if I can find this for you. It's the 10th Amendment. 10th Amendment. in the Constitution, just so you can see that you do have power, family. And if you want to utilize it, you have to take it upon yourself to do so, and to know that you don't have to just take whatever the people in power or the so-called elite people say you have to take. So this here, you look up here, 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. I'm going to scroll down. Let's see. Each state, the 10th Amendment is similar to Article 2 of the Articles of Confederation. Each state retains its sovereignty, freedom, and independence in every power, jurisdiction, and right, which is not by this confederation expressly delegated to the United States. What else does it say? The purpose of this amendment is to reaffirm the principles of federalism and reinforce the notion, this is talking about the federal, and reestablish and reinforce the notion of the federal government maintaining only limited enumerated powers, only limited powers. So many legal scholars have effectively classified this amendment as tautology, and that is a statement reaffirming or affirming that the federal government does not have any rights that it does not have. The federal government does not have any rights because it's unconstitutional. Okay, the federal government is not the republic. The republic, is our lawful government. So again, the state has more power, and we know this because the Supreme Court actually took the liberty to do a lot of things, like say that each state-sponsored banks can operate separately and independently from the Federal Reserve Central Bank. That happened this summer. And each state can issue out their own gold-backed currency. So back to NESARA, when the farmers won their claims, they were told that they would be paid out first, and then we, the people, would be paid out once the republic is returned and the gold standard comes back. So we already know by reading articles and staying abreast on what's going on in the world that the whole world is moving back toward using gold as money. Kingsworld came out with an article that says that the world is hurtling back to using gold as money. And those of you who have been following the BRICS bloc, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa over the last 3 years, you know that 85% of the world population in 2022 had joined BRICS behind the scenes. And we've been making those announcements. They're just now trickling out this information. But over 85% of global population had joined BRICS in 2022. Now, as the years have progressed, we've seen country by country join BRICS. So they're using gold now and their own currency backed by gold. And so is the Shanghai Corporation, which is basically the whole world. And then in America, I just showed you the article that said 45 states had reclaimed gold and silver as money. And then recently, of course, New Jersey became the 46th state. Did I show you the article that said New Jersey became the 46th state? Let me see. Yes, I think I did. New Jersey was the 46th state to remove taxes on its precious metals effective January the 1st, 2025. And we only have 4 more states to go. So let's look at the NESARA benefits, because we're talking about how gold and silver are now being used, soon to be used as money. And that's part of the NESARA benefits. So this is coming from one of my videos that I did a while ago, and this is on my Rumble channel. And this particular video is called Breaking News. The Philippines write off $1 billion in farmers' debts. That's important. And NESARA benefits are explained here in this podcast. And I did this July the 12th. I think it was this year, or it might have been last year. I can't remember. No, last year, it's 2024. So here are the benefits of NESARA. New Jersey's in the house. All right. Greetings, everybody. Shalom to you. Hi, the Panhandle of Florida's in the house. Good to see you, Woody. Hi, Anthony, 2 degrees in Michigan. Oh, my gosh. Magic Rhinestone says, thank you for all that you share. You've been a wealth of information on so many subjects. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for the acknowledgement. Greetings from North Georgia. Beneficial Owner says, And I also want to take the time to say thank you, Woody Curtis, for the super sticker. God bless you. Heaven smile on you is my prayer. I'm so grateful for you. So hit up the like button, family. Please subscribe to the channel. Let your family know that we are moving to the gold standard. Let's quickly go over these NESARA benefits so that you can get some rest before the morning. Okay. The National Economic Security and Reformation Act is what NESARA stands for, and it provides major benefits. We give all thanks and praise and honor to the farmers for having the courage to take the Central Bank of the United States to court, okay, and fighting for all of our behalf. The first benefit, family, are you ready? You can get some pens, paper, or you can type this on your computer, get an ink pen or a pencil with an eraser in case you want to take down these points. So the first benefit of NESARA is that it will zero out all credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and governmental activities. So we already know that a mortgage is a death pledge. We know that mortgages really are unlawful because what they're doing whenever they have you to take a bank loan out is they're actually having you to sign a document. And what we don't know is that we're giving them power of attorney against our will, actually, to access our trust. When we were all born, we had a birth certificate. The birth certificate was then sent to whomever it goes in order for it to be securitized and then put on the New York Stock Exchange and accrue interest as it is on the New York Stock Exchange. We're being traded as chattel, or have been for many, many years, many of us all over the world. So with that established trust, you should be able to offset any so-called debt with that trust. But instead, these nefarious people have us to sign documents that we think are loans. They're called bank loans. And what happens is they actually steal money from our trust, and then they force us to pay them again. So they pay themselves out of our trust, and then we pay them, and we pay them with interest. Well, paying interest or usury is not only against the Bible, but it is against the Constitution. So they've committed fraud. That's why they must zero out all credit card debt, mortgage debt, and any bank loans. Now, we know that not only are we in debt, but the country is in debt, and the country has actually reached a debt ceiling and a debt limit. And this is why Janet Yellen said last year, and she said it again this year, that if we don't do something about this debt crisis, then, we're going to be in trouble. We need to take extraordinary measures. One way that they can get rid of this debt is by paying it off with gold that we already have, or just have a debt jubilee. And that's what the NESARA benefit number one is. Have a debt jubilee. Now, if you haven't seen it, I've shown you a Zero Hedge article that says that we are about to experience a debt jubilee of biblical proportions. Are you ready? That's what the Zero Hedge article said. So I just want to show you proof that all of this is actually happening. They're talking about it now. Number two, it will abolish income taxes. We know that President Trump said that his job, or his one of the first things that he wants to do is actually get rid of the IRS or abolish income taxes. Yes, he said that we're going to abolish the IRS and we're going to bring in the external revenue services. So the way President Trump's administration said they're going to get rid of or abolish the IRS or internal revenue services and income taxes is to stop taxing the people and now start putting tariffs on the countries. And he said when he does that, that alone will actually make America great again and bring prosperity into our nation. So I also wanted to show you how, let me see, one of these states, somebody actually brought forward or announced or introduced a bill to abolish the income taxes. But I'll show you proof that all this is happening after we go over these benefits. The third thing, abolish the IRS and create 14% tax rate on non-essential new items only. The fourth component is to increase benefits to citizens. Let me see here. Senior citizens. So I have not seen Trump talk about that At least I didn't see that in his latest speech, whether or not he was going to do anything about Social Security benefits, but that is a component of the NESARA law. And then let me see. I was trying to see if I can find any bills being introduced. Yes. So here is a bill here. Buddy Carter of Georgia introduced House Resolution 25, the Fair Tax Bill, and that is a bill to replace the current tax code with a national consumption tax known as the fair tax. So here where you saw that they're going to abolish our income taxes, abolish the IRS, and create 14% flat rate non-essential new items only sale tax for government. I want to show you that state legislatures are doing their best to make that happen. And this is why I'm saying work at the state level. Here you go, right here. Is this it? Nope, that's not it. So I can see it on my end, but I don't think you can see it on your end. 1 minute, let me see if I can get to it. Buddy Carter. It's at buddycarter.house.gov. Yeah, that was it. Here it is. Washington, D.C., January 9th, 2025. This just happened, what, a week or two ago? Representative Earl Buddy Carter today introduced House Resolution 25, the Fair Tax Act, to replace the current tax code with the national consumption tax known as the fair tax. The fair tax would repeal the current tax code and replace it with a single national consumption tax. In addition to eliminating all personal and corporate income taxes, the death tax, and eliminate gift taxes and the payroll tax, the fair tax would also eliminate the need for the Internal Revenue Services. So that was a bill that was introduced. What you see happening is state legislatures all know that President Trump saying, I'm going to get rid of the IRS and introduce the External Revenue Services by putting tariffs on different countries that want to import or bring in services and goods into our nation. But lawmakers are saying we're not depending on a president, we're not depending on the federal government or anybody to do that. We want to introduce these bills for ourselves. And so that's what you see here, this bill to abolish the IRS and tax codes, period. That is in alignment with NESARA. So let's get back to the NESARA benefits. Here's another component of the NESARA law. Return us, number 5, returns us to constitutional law. Return constitutional law to all courts and legal matters. It should say lawful matters because legal matters actually refer to the United States Incorporated. They have statutes, codes, legalities, and policies, but the Republic has laws. We abide by the Constitution. So whenever these states are operating now, moving forward in the Republic, they're passing laws that are in alignment with our Republic and the Constitution for our Republic. So not only must we all return to constitutional law instead of admiralty law and maritime law, but you will see later on in this document, all lawyers or attorneys, and judges must be returned to constitutional law or retrained in constitutional law. So attorneys right now, most of them do not actually abide by the law for the Constitution for our Republic, but they abide by the legality, statutes, and codes of the Constitution of the United States Incorporated. That's why most of them are not really lawyers. They're attorneys. They attorney for you. They speak on your behalf. They actually represent you in court. This is why you can't speak out, because you're considered dead or dead at sea during this funeral ceremony or seance that is happening in a courtroom. And that's why the judges wear all black. Okay. So you have attorneys right now, but they all must cease and desist with the lawful republic. coming back online. And if they want to practice or they want to continue to operate in their place as defending the law, then they need to be retrained in constitutional law. And that goes along with returning the constitutional law to all courts and legal matters. The 6 components establishes new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after NESARA's announcement. So there's supposed to be a lawful announcement saying that the National Economic and Security Reformation Act is now in place. And along with that, you're supposed to announce that what we had been seeing happening with the elections had been fraudulent. Therefore, we must have lawful elections. Now, this is why I said that what we saw on January the 20th, I just took pause at it and it looked like a funeral, and perhaps it was the death of the old way and the death of the United States Incorporated. But the lawful election, according to our republic, is actually March the 4th. So what are we going to see on March the 4th? I don't know, but I'm going to be paying attention. What I do know is that the 6th component of NESARA is that we must establish new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after NESARA announcement. Now, most of these people right now that are serving, that are in Congress, again, don't have any proof of oath of office on file. So they need to step down. And then once we make an announcement about the Brunson case, especially if that's been heard, then they will step down, because the Brunson brothers that actually brought a case against Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and 385 members of Congress have stated in that lawsuit alone that many of them participated in some type of fraud during the elections in 2020 and 2022 and or knew about it. And if that is the case and is proven as that occurred, all of their credentials are supposed to be stripped, and they are not supposed to be ever allowed to participate in lawful matters. So some people say it's already been dealt with, that many of them have actually met their demise at Guantanamo Bay, but we need to have a public announcement. And then you're supposed to have lawful elections. Number 7, monitor elections and prevent illegal, or I would say unlawful, election activities of special interest groups. The 8th component is to create a new United States Treasury or note or rainbow currency backed by gold, silver, and platinum precious metals. Okay, create new United States Treasury. Why? Because the dollar that we know it, the fiat-based dollar, the gold back, is unlawful. It's not backed by anything. So we do see state lawmakers actually moving in this direction of making sure that we have new United States currency. And this is why this summer, let me try to get back to you. This summer, I'm going to get back to that document. The Supreme Court actually ruled that each state-sponsored bank can operate independently from the Federal Reserve central banking system, and they can issue out their own gold-backed currencies. I made that announcement, but here it is, but I need to show it to you. Here it is. So we're showing proof that NESARA is actually happening now. June the 3rd, 2024, Supreme Court ruling. State-sponsored banks can disband from the Federal Reserve System and issue their own currency. Here are the major components of this article. State banks can issue their own gold-backed currency, bypassing the Federal Reserve. The ruling was just released that Thursday, May the 30th, 2024. This was known as In the Fed Day, and I did make that announcement. I have a podcast on that I did on that day. The next component of this article, state-sponsored banks do not have to adhere to the Federal Reserve or to their charter. States can acquire gold reserves for their state banks, okay? And they can disband from the Federal Reserve System. So you see states working now in alignment with what the Supreme Court ruled. The Supreme Court, in summary, said that all state-sponsored banks can now disband from the Federal Reserve, have their own charter, and operate independently from the Federal Reserve central banking system and issue out their own gold-backed currencies. Then we also showed you that now 46 states have reclaimed silver and gold as money. And the way that they did that was by removing or repealing the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. Why is that important? Because once these nefarious people overtook our government, they also created their own Federal Reserve central banking system, their arm of the federal government. And they then did away with the gold standard and said, now you can use their currency. And then when it's backed by nothing, they can print out as much as they can. Well, no longer is that allowed to happen. And they also said that gold was a relic, or they classified it as a collectible or a commodity. And so when you classify gold now as a collectible or commodity instead of money, then you can put a tax on it. You can put a tax on it when you sell it because it's just a collectible. It's not money, because the Constitution says you're not allowed to tax money. Okay. But these nefarious people went against the Constitution for our republic, created their own Constitution of the United States Incorporated. Okay. So classifying gold as a commodity then enabled them to allow or force states to put taxes on precious metals anytime they sold precious metals, and anytime you accrue precious metals, then the federal government could steal it from you and they can tax you for having it. But what you saw is lawmakers saying we're not going to have that in each state. Lawmakers also introduced a bill to do away with capital gains taxes. So they're taking their power back, is what I'm trying to show you, family. Now, let me see what else is a component of NESARA and JSARA. Thank you for 1,322 people being in the chat. Like the video and subscribe to the channel, family. And keep chatting and let us know what you think about this. Because some people saying NESARA will never happen, or it's not happening, or we're making this stuff up. But it really is. It's happening right before our eyes. You just have to know where to look. And we thank the Most High and the Creator and the ancestors for allowing us to go to where it is, where this information is, and to actually not only just go to where the information is, but to be a part of this new reality. Next, it will, create a rainbow currency backed by gold and silver, which many people have stated, and I haven't found proof yet, that banks have rainbow currencies sitting in the banks right now. So some people have shown pictures though of rainbow currency, and I'm sure some of you have seen that, but I've seen the pictures, but I haven't seen the rainbow currency myself. I do know that in 2022 and 2023, banks were acquiring gold in record numbers. And I did report that when it was happening. Let me see if I can find where that is. Central banks are buying up gold for a reason, is what this one article says. In 2022, the World Central Bank bought 1,136 tons of gold, which was the highest level of annual demand on record, dating back to 1950, according to the World Gold Council. So the reason why banks were buying up record numbers of gold is because, as I stated in my podcast the other day, gold has to be recognized as a tier 1 asset according to Basel III compliancy. All banks must now become Basel compliant. So they have to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset, and they had to be prepared to receive foreign currencies, or what they called foreign assets, which are your foreign currencies, tier 2 assets. So with Basel III compliancy, again, they had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset, which means they had to now recognize gold as money and not the fiat dollar. And they had to prepare for and be ready to receive tier 2 assets, because gold and your foreign currencies will bolster the health of the banks. The article that I showed you the other day says not only must it bolster the health of the bank, but it will help the banks. These assets, tier 1 and tier 2 assets, will help the banks not go into bankruptcy. It will protect them against bankruptcy. So this is why we saw in 2022 and 2023 banks buying up a lot of gold or acquiring a lot of gold. You see here in this article that the world's central banks bought 1,136 tons of gold. In 2023, the colossal buying continued as central banks amassed another 1,037 tons of gold. This year, the central bank demand in Q1 was 290 tons, the strongest start to any year on record. That this article was published in 2024. So again, you saw banks buying up gold in record numbers, and you saw the banks meet to make sure that they were prepared for your tier 2 assets, meaning your foreign reserves. And I did a video on that, a podcast on that. If you need to see that podcast again, it's a good idea to see that, because some of the articles that I actually brought up on screen and highlighted now are either not there when you go to search for them, or they've been changed. So I'm so glad we have the actual article pulled up on screen. And so let me see if I can show you this video here, and I won't keep you much longer, family. This is the video you want to see on my Dr. Kia Pruitt channel at Dr. Kia Pruitt Official. Great news for currency holders, because in this podcast, I show you many articles where I actually break down how banks met globally to make sure that they were prepared for your tier 2 assets. So then I talked about how the banks met, how they now must be compliant, how they now must be, transparent, how they can no longer steal money from your bank and decide to bail themselves in once you put your money in the account. And this article also breaks down what tier 2 assets are, these articles that I highlight in this video. So I'll put that in the description section for you as well. So banks are preparing. Banks are actually moving in the direction of NESARA and GESARA. A lot of people just didn't know. What else is a component of NESARA? Initiates new United States Treasury bank system in alignment with constitutional law. So now the banks can no longer operate nefariously. And again, in the video I just showed you, I highlight what that means and how they must be compliant, how they can only use gold and gold-backed currencies or issue out gold-backed currencies, how also they can no longer do a bail-in, because before President Obama and during President Obama's presidency, if the banks were in trouble, they can get a bailout from the government. And we saw Obama actually bailing out the banks. They didn't bail out people, they bailed out the banks, right? But then what happened was during the Trump administration, after Obama was in office and he did the bailout, Trump actually modified the Dodd-Frank Act and said that there would be no more bank bailouts. Okay, but what we were concerned about is, okay, if you don't no longer do a bank bailout, then you will have banks that will try to do a bank bail-in. And we did see Trump making some changes that say that they should not do any more bank bail-ins, and that's what he was working towards. But they could still do that. The banks could still, they were taking liberty to do whatever they want, because what we don't realize is that once we deposited our money in the bank under the old system, we were actually the creditors. The bank and the people working for us in the government, in the central banking system, they are the debtors. We are the creditors. As a creditor, you put money in the bank, you are actually loaning your money to the bank, the people in the bank. Okay, so when the banks get in trouble, they can take liberty, or they could, to use your money that you, the creditor, deposit in the bank and bail themselves in if they no longer could get money from the government. Well, all this now has to change with all these Basel compliances. The banks recognizing gold as a tier 1 asset, banks becoming transparent, banks can no longer steal money from you. It will also eliminate the Federal Reserve System. Now, we know that the Federal Reserve, along with the United States Incorporated, is actually defunct. It is bankrupt and insolvent. But we did see some lawmakers or legislators introduce certain bills to get rid of the Federal Reserve, which is good, because they're taking steps to actually be in alignment with our Constitution for our republic, and to be in alignment with NESARA law. So let me see if I can find that for you. I have so many articles up. Okay, family. Keep checking in. Let me see. Here's one here. Okay, I get rid of that one. I got to take some of these things off of my. I have so many articles up here. Hold on. The Federal Reserve Abolition Act. This is on congress.gov. Let me pull that up for you. HR 8421 was introduced. House Resolution 8421 by Representative Thomas Massey from Kentucky. With the start of a new Congress, okay, it talks about this. Let me see. Where is it? Where does it tell you what it is? Okay, here it is. Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act. So we saw that happen in May of 2024. Representative Thomas Massey introduced that bill. And we also know that President Trump said that he was going to downsize the government. So not only are they going to do away with the Federal Reserve, but any federal agency that has incorporated itself must be abolished. And we know that happened with the overturning of the Chevron Doctrine. So with the introduction of that bill and the overturning of the Chevron Doctrine, the Federal Reserve has to be dismantled, as well as all federal agencies. And just in case you don't know about the Chevron Doctrine, I'll see if I can bring that up for you. Overturn Chevron Doctrine. Hold on. Let us know what you think about this, family. Oh, so it wasn't just Representative Thomas Massey, but also Michael Lee introduced from Utah the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act as well. So we see Utah, Kentucky, those two states making moves, those two lawmakers making moves from their state. And we also saw that President Trump said that he was going to downsize the government. So let me see the Supreme Court overturn Chevron Doctrine. Here we go. That will eliminate the Federal Reserve as well as all of the federal agencies. 1 minute. Here you go. The Supreme Court strikes down Chevron, curtailing power of the federal agencies. In a major ruling, this came out June the 28th, the Supreme Court on Friday cut back sharply on the powers of federal agencies to interpret the laws that they administer and ruled that courts should rely on their own interpretation of ambiguous laws. The decision will likely have far-reaching effects across the country, from environmental regulations all the way to healthcare costs. So when you go on to read the article, it will tell you that many of these federal agencies, including the Federal Reserve, had taken it upon themselves to create certain policies that would take away our sovereignty and our liberties and also enrich them, so that if you didn't abide by their rules or their policies, you would have to pay fines. And the Supreme Court overturned all of that and said that this was not only against our liberties and unconstitutional, but it was treasonous, because they would create these rules, statutes, and policies that were not in alignment with our Constitution, and then force us to do it or pay a fine or be put in jail. And that, therefore, was taking away our sovereignty. So you can see that this is why President Trump said he's shrinking or downsizing the government. So whether or not you believe he will do that really doesn't matter, whether he wants to or not. The states have more power than the federal government. The states have more power than any one person. You and I have more power than a president, than a leader. And you know, it's interesting how we continue to look for leaders outside ourselves. And I think that's wonderful to have leaders to stand up for we the people. I just don't want us to forget the leader that is within you, the leader that's within me, to actually take it upon ourselves to operate in our sovereignty and either pass laws ourselves by working at the local level, or by pressuring those that we put in place to do that. Okay, and then let's see, what else is the benefit of NESARA? restore financial privacy. So this is why we know that the bankers now they never were supposed to tell anybody what was going on in the banks. And people keep talking about you signing a non-disclosure agreement whenever you go to the bank to exchange your currencies. What I have been told will happen is that the people that are like managing your money, they're the ones who need to sign agreements, whether it be a non-disclosure agreement or some type of agreement to not discuss anything that's happening with your money, because now they work for you, not the other way around. We are sovereign. So restore financial privacy. Also, the 12 components retrain all judges and attorneys in constitutional law, because most people are not defending or representing the law. Most attorneys now pass the British Accredited Registry exam or the bar exam, which means that they work for the crown. And I know somebody was like, yeah, but the queen is dead, so they don't work for the crown now. Well, the whole system was actually fraudulent. So if you passed the British Accredited Registry, it meant, again, that you work for the crown. You did not work for we the people. And that's why you were called an attorney. You were attorneying for us. You were representing us. They considered us minors and not being able to speak for ourselves because we were dead at sea, okay, under maritime law and admiralty law. But now with the returning of the republic, these attorneys that were attorneying for us now have to be retrained in constitutional law if, in fact, they want to represent the law. Attorneys work under the United States Incorporated. Lawyers work for and with and in alignment with the republic and the Constitution for our republic. Also, the 13th component, cease all aggressive United States government military actions worldwide. And that's why under Project Sandman, 209 countries agreed to do two things: to stop trading with the United States dollar and trade with their own local currencies backed by gold and precious metals. And those 209 countries also agreed to world peace. That was the second component of Project Sandman. So this is why under Trump's first administration, we didn't have any war. And he said that even when he was campaigning for the second round of the second so-called second presidency, he said, under my administration, we didn't have any war. And that was because all countries had agreed to world peace. And that's where we're moving towards now. So you have to know that not only are these countries making agreements to work together and to get along together, but they're saying there will be no more war. But we also have certain visitors that have come to ensure that that happens. And that's why you see drones the size of ships and cars. Okay, if they're the size of ships and cars, then they're most likely ships. These drones or the UFOs, whatever you want to call them, hovering over military bases, making sure that no nuclear bombs go off, making sure that they don't do certain things, these government agencies. It's not just in America that these drones are being seen or that these ships or UFOs are being seen. It's all over the world. So this is another reason why President Trump said in his speech the other day, he is going to end the Russia-Ukraine war, because they all agreed to establish world peace. 15, initiate the first phase of worldwide prosperity, a distribution of vast wealth that has been accumulating for many decades. There's wealth that's been accumulating for not only many decades, but centuries, for millennia, wealth coming from the Philippines. Many of you saw the video that I did, the interview that I did with Princess Elizabeth Rodriguez Ruiz. You want to go back and look at that video because she talks about how her family oversaw the Philippine Trust, one of the Philippine trusts, the Saint Germain Trust, and there was a third trust. So she's considered the 3-in-1 sole executor over 3 trusts because there's lots of gold in the Philippines. So you have the Philippine people and a faction, the family members that have been accumulating gold. You have secret societies that have been operating benevolently, that has stored up gold to help liberate humanity. You have the Saint Germain Trust. You have many other trusts that has been accumulating for centuries to pay off all the debt all over the world and to make sure that everybody lives and prosperity. And this is why Trump said prosperity will begin day one. And he started issuing out a lot of executive orders. Now, again, there are lots of powers and forces behind Trump making sure this happens. Some human and some non-human or interdimensional beings or extraterrestrial beings. And many of you, as well as I, will come to know them. And that information will be disclosed in the very near future. It will release enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes as well. And this is why in the 1990s, for those of you who are part of the Global Settlements Fund and Prosperity packages, you know that in the 1990s, many churches knew about these prosperity programs. And so what you had to do when you were part of these churches or different organizations was you had to create a humanitarian project. The government actually did a clearance on you. They did background checks on you as an individual and did background checks on these organizations. You had to go through a whole process to ensure that you were worthy enough to execute humanitarian projects. Now, it was at that time that people started talking about humanitarian projects because, again, in the 90s, 80s, and 90s, the government tapped on certain organizations and certain people that belong to churches came to know about these programs. And when you know about these programs, then certain governmental officials would come around to the churches or these organizations and look at your humanitarian project, make sure it made sense, look at the budget for the humanitarian project. And they told you then when it's time, the country would be returned back to the republic and money would go to those of you who were found worthy enough through all these security clearances, and then your humanitarian projects have been deemed as deemed as it will be effective. Then you will get the money. You could reserve a certain amount of that money for yourself, and then the rest of the money would go through the humanitarian project. That is this component of NESARA that I just highlighted. Now, a lot of people that are part of those global settlements and prosperity programs knew about this money that will be injected into the global economy. And a lot of gurus took along that information and now saying, and they mix it with the currency information. And now saying if you hold a currency, you have to have a humanitarian project. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But I'm telling you that more than likely, a lot of them got that from the Global Settlements and Prosperity Program. That's what I've been told anyway. And so they're saying now you have to have a humanitarian project if you want to exchange your currencies. And they're also saying you have to sign NDAs. Well, you only have to sign an NDA or non-disclosure agreement if this information is not made public. The information of currency exchanges has been made public. The people that had to sign a non-disclosure agreement were actually those that were a part of the humanitarian programs and prosperity programs and the global settlement programs of the 1980s and 1990s. They're mixing that information with the currency exchange and telling you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I don't believe you have to, but I mean, if we do, okay, oh well. But the banks are now working for us. The wealth management centers, the people that are there work for you. You don't work for them. And it just doesn't make sense to me that anybody can tell you how to use your own money. But it did make sense when you talk about the prosperity program and global settlement program that you had to sign a non-disclosure agreement because that was under the old system. And that was money coming from the government that will enable you to actually implement your humanitarian projects. So again, whole different project, a whole different thing from what we've been talking about now with the exchanging of currencies. Their gurus are mixing that information together, but we'll see what happens when it's time. Also, the 17th component, it will enable the release of new technologies such as free energy devices, pollution cleanup, and sonic healing machines. So we do know that there were some secret patents and that were hidden from we the people. And we know that Trump said he wanted to release those secret patents. Okay. I'm trying to find the number of patents that there were. Let me see. 5,000 784 patents, at least, that we have not seen that will soon be released. Now, according to the article that I'm going to bring up, it says the United States government's secret is a big secret, and that they had orders that had enabled the United States to control patents and not allow we the people to know that there were actually technologies that had been created that could do, things like address certain ailments, what else, free energy, all type of things. And I'll show you that article right here. Thousands of secret patents have been hidden from the people. The United States government secrecy orders allow the United States Defense Agency to control patents, including those that are privately developed. If you look through the United States Patent Office online database, you'll find some head-scratching proposals for interventions, for a plan to stack airplane passengers on top of one another, for the process of taking a picture of something on a white background, for chocolate-covered ice cream bars, et cetera, et cetera. But as of 2017, according to statistics reported by the United States Patent and Trademark Office and published by the Federation of American Scientists, there were 5,784 patents that you cannot see. The United States government's cachet of interventions under secrecy orders. So the article goes on to say that we don't know what those are for, but once secret patents recently made public have included a laser tracking system. That's one of the things that's been made public, a warhead production method, and anti-radar jamming apparatuses, as well as a stronger net or internet services. But President Trump has said that he wants to release a lot of these secret patents, and that goes along with that particular component of the NESARA law that was signed into law, the NESARA bill that was signed into law, component number 17. I'll bring it back up to the screen for you. The next component, reducing the work week to 20 hours, which would be amazing. So now, according to NESARA, it won't be mandatory for people to work a 40-hour work week, but only 20. And then a 19th component, give everyone 21 of age plus or more than 21 years of age, $100,000 per month for 11 years, up to 20 million each person. This kind of operates like a universal basic income. Now, this is something that I actually copied from an article, so I can put this in the description section for you, as well as the original article. And sometimes you try to look for the old articles and videos on NESARA, and they have been wiped out during the Trump administration because they just didn't want people reporting on this news. I've had many videos about NESARA taken down, and many of the articles that we had put up actually, and that we had seen and we used to cite as a source, they had been scrubbed from the internet. So I'll publish for you or put it in the description section, all the things that I have about NESARA. So we do know that $100,000 per month seems like a lot of money, but I'm just telling you what we've heard. We've heard it could be anywhere between $10,000 and $100,000 per month that each person would get for 11 years in a non-interest bearing account. The money will be gold back or asset back, and it will be monitored, they say, in order to ensure that it's not spent on nefarious purposes. Just meaning that, if you have any intentions or you actually make a purchase to do things like what some people have been doing for many, many years, like buying children, buying drugs, laundering money, anything like that could bring about severe consequences. So some people say it's a good thing that you'll be monitored. Some people are a little leery about that because they don't want the government actually monitoring what they do with this money. So I just say, just be a good steward and just have good intentions, and then it shouldn't matter. And if you are concerned and you're not going to do anything nefarious and you don't want anybody to track what happens with your money in the bank, then what you could do is actually take that money and put it into hard assets like land, like silver and gold, like a business or something like that. Okay. So that you can make sure that your money is preserved and your wealth is preserved as well. And you can pass that on to your posterity, meaning your future generations. So have we seen anything like this? Any government giving universal basic income? Absolutely. They do it in Qatar. They do it in other Middle Eastern countries too, because you have oil rich nations that actually share the booty or the bounties with their nationals or the people that live in country. But most recently, we saw Guyana. The Guyanan president, Guyana, the country in South America, say that he is going to give each of his people over the age of 18 $100,000. But he said that's going to be a one-time payment. So that's encouraging, because we can see that if in fact that happens, then that is a component of NESARA, and that's something that, could possibly be a precursor to the rest of the world doing that. And I'll show you that article as well. So he said you had to be, I saw articles that said you had to be 18. Then I saw articles that said you had to be 21 and over. So you have to be over the age of 18 to receive this $100,000. You have to prove that you're a national, that that's your nationality. You're a Guyanese, and you have to be in country. So there are articles that say they're going to pay each of their nationals, each of their people, $100,000, a one-time payment. And then there are other articles that say you can live abroad and we will still pay you, but you have to come home in order to receive that payment. So this is really good news for the Guyanan people, and it's also encouraging for the rest of us. And this is one way, not only can you make sure that your people in your country are wealthy, but it's also another way that you can make sure illegal people that are in your country go back home, because a lot of people are here for opportunities, or they've gone abroad for opportunities, or to take advantage of the resources in that country. Well, they can go home and actually help build up their country, or enjoy their own country and their own nation and their own families by going back home. And this is a way to entice them to do that. So this was breaking news, and I did do a podcast on this as soon as this news came out on October the 18th of 2024, that the Guyanan government said they would give each person over 18 $100,000 in a move aimed at bolstering disposable income and creating better opportunities for all citizens. President Ali announced a revised cash grant initiative on Wednesday. The new measure will provide a one-off cash grant of $100,000 to every citizen age 18 and above. The president made this announcement after receiving substantial feedback concerning his previous plan, which in a previous plan he had proposed to, I should say, give $200,000 cash grant, but he had some, his advisors to say maybe we should pull back on that. And so he said he's going to give everybody $100,000. After careful review, the president instructed a re-examination of the initiative, which led to the decision to scale down the grant to $100,000 per citizen, but expand its reach by ensuring that every eligible person age 18 and over would receive it. He said he will simplify the verification process. This plan reduces administrative burdens and minimizes the potential for conflicts within families and communities. Eligibility for the grant will be based on simple documentation, including possession of a national identification card or a valid passport. So again, this could be a template for how other countries would usher in NESARA or NESARA benefits. So I hope you enjoyed that, family. There are about 18 or 19 different components of NESARA or NESARA, and we actually see some of this happening right now. No matter who is the president, we can make sure this happens. We will usher this into our reality by commanding it to be so, and by operating at the state level or at the local level to ensure that it is so. All right. Now, any questions, family? Any questions? Thank you again for the super sticker. God bless you. Now I'll take a pause for anybody that has questions. Only Q's. What about debt relief? I'm hesitating to pay on a loan this month too. I do P.O. box gifts. Do you have a P.O. box? Do I have a PO box? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. You can email me and I can send it to you at kiapruitt@gmail.com. But I understand that. Yeah. Let's see. Good evening to you too. Oh, let's see. I do not have a Cash App, but if you Zelle or Venmo or PayPal, I do have a PayPal account. Thank you. Some people don't have Cash App. You're right. What is my PayPal? Since I don't send myself PayPal, I sometimes forget what my PayPal is. So, family, while I look for that, can you please let me know what you think about these NESARA benefits? Put it in the chat, please. Let's see. What do you think about these NESARA benefits? I don't remember what my PayPal is. I know you can look me up and I'm just Kia Pruitt on PayPal. Oh, yes, I do. I see it. Wow. Okay, here it is. Here is my PayPal. Thank you so much for asking. That's very kind and very generous of you. I'll put it in the chat. This is my PayPal here. I appreciate you. This is my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Kia Pruitt. That's really simple. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. But what do you think about the NESARA benefits, family? That is my PayPal. I do have a memo. I just don't remember it. And then, of course, my Cash App. I have it out on the screen at the bottom of the ticker, and it's here is $ Mama Kia 13. That's $ MAMAKIA 13. Oh, thank you so much, Dominique Williams, for sending me a blessing. God bless you, a Cash App. God bless you, Heaven Smiling. I really appreciate all of you that take the time to bless me and to show your gratitude for the work that I do. What else? We have to read more and read more and more. Absolutely. Okay, I see that you all are speaking to each other. Oh my gosh, Lori says I work 92 hours per week. How is that possible? Everybody, please pray for Michael. He's having open heart surgery tomorrow. Who's Michael, Sister Lori? Somebody's having open heart surgery. So yes, we ask that the Almighty please heal Michael, and the Almighty guides the hands of the surgeons and ensure that their hands do exactly what they're supposed to do. And we're also sending out positive vibrational frequencies to Michael, and we are sending out all the love and the support that he needs, and we pray for a speedy recovery. So we ask that the angels and his ancestors and the spirit guides will continually support him and comfort him and surround him. And we hope that this Michael can feel all the love of the soul family. So we'll just stretch our hands to wherever you are, Michael. We hope you can feel our energy. You see that gold that came across the screen? Feel our energy as you go through this process. It is so. You will be healed in the name of your ancestors and in the name of the Creator, and it will happen quickly. So thank you for bringing up Michael's name. We will continually keep him in our prayers. So hi, Taj. I mentioned you early in the podcast, and I said you had told me I better not hear about you going on talking about breaking news, everybody. Happy Friday. Yay. Here I am, because I heard that New Jersey became the 46th state to repeal the state's taxes from the sales of precious metals, thus acknowledging gold and silver as money, which means now we only have 4 more states to go. And the Sound Money Defense League let us know that we only had 5 states to go. Now we only have 4, and those 4 remaining states are Hawaii, Maine, New Mexico, and Vermont. So we're almost there. We're almost on the gold standard. I love you, Taj. Happy Friday. Yay. So I think that's it. Somebody says I work 12-hour shifts. Oh my God. I don't know how you do it. You're full-time. Oh, you guys, wow. So yes, we're standing in agreement for Michael. We are praying for Michael. You guys are saying thank you so much. Divine love. Oh, Michael is your brother, Sister Lori. Okay, we will continually pray for your brother. So that's it, family. I didn't want to keep you long. It's been an hour and 33 minutes. We appreciate you all being here. What are the other states? All other states have made silver and gold money. All other 44 states, 45 states, 40, Kentucky was the 45th state. The only 4 states that have not repealed or introduced any legislation to repeal state taxes from the sales of precious metals are Hawaii, Maine, New Mexico, and Vermont. So that was a great question. Only 4 more states left. And now we know that we're almost there. And this is why this article came out February the 16th, 2023. And I saw this article the day it came out. I was like, breaking news. You guys know how I do. That's my thing. States are hurtling back to or rushing back toward gold as money. So you can use silver, you can use gold, you can even use gold backs. Gold backs or gold RM notes are notes that are 14 karat gold or 24 karat gold pressed onto a note. It's like 1/100th of a troy ounce of gold, and some of these notes are 1/1000 of a troy ounce of gold. But it is real gold pressed onto a note that you may use in those states as legal tender to buy local goods and services. Now, Florida came out with a study, was it last year, that in December, to look at whether or not they will use gold and silver as money. But I'm like, of course they will, because they had already passed legislation to repeal the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. So of course we're going to use gold as money in Florida. And then right after they said they were going to look into whether or not they should use gold and silver as money, I said, you guys, just be prepared, because they're about to make a major announcement. And do you know, a week later, they announced that they were introducing the Florida gold backs. And they said that those will become available on January the 15th. So we announced the breaking news that it was going to happen. And then we announced that it was happening. And then we announced that it had happened. So the 15th is already over. If you live in the state of Florida like I do, you can already get Florida gold backs. And some of these gold backs are less than $3. This is a way that you can afford gold right now. Hopefully you have $3 or a few dollars in your budget. You don't have to worry, though. The whole world is hurtling back towards gold as money, the article says. It goes on to talk about how what I've been saying, Vladimir Putin triggered this whole movement. They didn't tell you how, but they did mention the war. They just talk about how Vladimir Putin, he's controversial, is what people say, the president of Russia. But Vladimir Putin actually went to Ukraine, as you all know, to uncover a lot of nefarious things that were going on there. And then Biden put sanctions on him. And when Biden put sanctions on him for going and uncovering all the things the Biden crime family and other presidents and prelates were doing there, like things dealing with money, laundering, children, and all that, those sanctions then were supposed to keep everybody else from doing business with Biden, but Biden clapped back and he said, you can put sanctions on me. I'll still stop trading with your dollar, and I'll trade with my own currency, the Russian ruble. And when he did that, the Russian ruble in 2022 became the strongest performing currency in the world. And then Vladimir Putin actually led Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa to follow suit, follow him, and stop trading with the United States dollar. And they started using the Russian ruble. And then he said, well, you all use your own local currencies backed by precious metals to trade, but don't use the United States dollar. That would decimate the Federal Reserve central banking system. That would decimate the dollar. That would make it completely collapse and lose value. All of this happened because Project Sandman was the secret agreement to, when triggered, for all those 209 nations, stop trading with the dollar. So that trigger again was Vladimir Putin going to Russia. That led to Biden putting sanctions on him. And then that led to Putin using his own Russian ruble for trade, dropping the dollar, and him inspiring the BRICS bloc to follow his lead. And then after that, then they asked Saudi Arabia to join BRICS, and Saudi Arabia joined BRICS in 2022. You know what? These mainstream articles or article writers, they bring out information so late, because I announced that in 2022 that Saudi Arabia joined BRICS and Saudi Arabia became known as Sal BRICS, right? But it just came out that Saudi Arabia, these countries are funny. That Saudi Arabia, when you go to watch a guru, they're late. They're just not announcing this in 2025. I announced this in 2022. Let me show you. If you go to Guru Watcher, is it Watcher Guru or Guru? Watcher Guru, you'll see an article that just came up here. Saudi Arabia is considering joining BRICS. January 22nd, 2025. I announced that in 2022. You cannot trust them. They joined in 2022 and BRICS became known as SAL BRICS, and then other nations joined. And then BRICS became known as BRICS Plus. I will put up that video for you all later, and I'll put the title on there that this is an old video so y'all won't get mad at me, just to see that I've been announcing this since 2022 about BRICS. So Vladimir Putin was the trigger. Again, Project Sandman was an agreement between 209 nations that when triggered, they would stop trading with the United States dollar. They would drop the dollar and they would use their own currencies backed by gold and silver. And a part of Project Sandman was also that these 209 countries had agreed to world peace. So Vladimir Putin led Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa to stop trading with the dollar. Saudi Arabia then joined BRICS, and then other nations joined BRICS. And then by 2023, more than 85% of the global population had joined BRICS. It's just now the information is getting out. We're in 2025. Another thing that happened was that Saudi Arabia's agreement with the United States Incorporated was not renewed last summer as of June the 29th. So the reason why I'm bringing that out is because what made the dollar the world reserve currency was our agreement with Saudi Arabia, or the United States Incorporated's agreement with Saudi Arabia, to protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for oil. And then we would force other nations to actually get oil from Saudi Arabia, and they must do that using the United States dollar. That's what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency. That's what made the United States Incorporated, or the United States, become or have financial hegemony or economic hegemony. In other words, it made them the financial and economic powerhouse. They had the United States dollar. Every other nation had to peg their dollar to our dollar instead of pegging their dollar to gold. Well, while all this was happening behind the scenes, with Vladimir Putin being in Russia, cleaning out all the military bases, exposing all the crimes, then James Comer being over the House Oversight Committee, collecting all this evidence against Biden, all the Biden crime family, all these nations were like, we're going to follow your lead, Vladimir Putin. We're going to stop trading with the dollar. We're going to repatriate our gold back from the Vatican and restore the gold back to ourselves. And we're going to make agreements with other nations to help us mine the gold and the resources that we have here. And we're going to explore. And we're going to recoup or look for and find all of the rare earth minerals that we have. And we're going to use all that to make sure that our country experience prosperity and wealth. So here in America alone, last year, 234 metric tons of rare earth minerals were discovered in the state of Wyoming. 234 billion metric tons of rare earth minerals were discovered here in America, which made us have the most rare earth minerals in the world, according to the article. That's just in Wyoming alone. So we have rare earth minerals, we have gold, we have palladium, we have platinum, we have oil, we have all that. Speaking of oil, we don't need Saudi Arabia anymore, because you heard President Trump say, we're going to drill, baby, drill. We got oil right here in America. So when those contracts were not renewed between the United States Incorporated and Saudi Arabia, it was okay. But that was it for the world reserve currency being the dollar. That was it, because what made the United States dollar world reserve currency was our agreement with Saudi Arabia. We're going to protect the Saudi empire. The Saudi princes, their kingdom, in exchange for oil, and force all nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia, and they must use the dollar. That's over. So Vladimir Putin actually was the trigger. And Vladimir Putin went a step further, according to our research, and he inspired all nations to use their own local currencies. Then he started targeting Africa, and he started speaking to African nations and saying, you can do the same thing. When what he said is, if I can get your support and your buy-in, and you guys can join BRICS, then what I'll do for you is I'll pay off your debts, I'll give you grains, and I will provide you with military force and military support, and I will back up your own military. And this is why we saw last year Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso kick out the French, create their own military forces, and say, we don't need the French here anymore, and we are going to use our own currency, our own local currencies. So it wasn't just Niger, Burkina Faso, and who else? Mali that did that, but they did that last year. But this year you had Nigeria to do the same thing. Not Nigeria, excuse me. You had Senegal to do the same thing, and Chad. So when they kicked out the French, this is what I'm talking about, being sovereign, using your own power, not waiting for a president, not waiting for anybody to save you. When they kicked out the French, of course, they had military backing. They had to have the sense to have some support from Putin and other nations. Once they kicked out the French, then there were repercussions for the country of France. Now the country of France started suffering financially, economically, because no longer could they rate the land in those African nations. No longer could they force the people to mine for them. No longer could they force child labor into the reality of the people there. And no longer could they force their religion, their culture, their customs on those African nations. And now those African nations have reestablished themselves as being sovereign, and they're using their own currencies backed by the resources that are in our countries. So not only will those African nations do that, but all nations will now use their own countries' currencies. So this is big. This is huge. This is happening all over the world with countries returning to gold. And doing this just shows you that NESARA and GESARA are here, whether we call it that or not. In other words, people are taking their power back. We're operating in our sovereignty. But I would say that not only are we doing this of our own volition, but we have help here. We have help. We have ships that are here over these military bases. And we've shown you the articles that said that there are drones over military bases. They're ensuring that nothing happens and that everything goes as planned, and that humanity, or whatever you want to call us, all life is free. All life from here forward has to be sovereign. All life from here forward has to be prosperous. All life from here forward has to realize and be able to enjoy abundance. So we commanded to be so, but it's already happening, family. So just to reiterate and go over tonight's podcast, New Jersey just became the 46th state to remove taxes from the sales of precious metals. So now we have 46 states that are in alignment with the Constitution that say the only thing you can use to pay off debt are gold and silver, and the only thing you can use as money are gold and silver. That only leaves Hawaii, Maine, New Mexico, and Vermont to pass laws, and that is slated to happen here in 2025. Also, we talked about the NESARA benefits, and just quickly, the first one is it'll zero out all credit cards, mortgages, and other bank debts due to illegal and unlawful banking practices. Number two, it will establish or abolish income taxes, Number three, NESARA will abolish the IRS and create a 14% flat rate, non-essential new items only sales tax revenue for government. Number four, they will increase benefits to senior citizens. Fifth, we will be returned to constitutional law, and that will return it all to the courts, and we will now have lawful matters and not legal matters. Number six is we will establish new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after we have this National Economic Security and Reformation Act announcement. And seventh, we will monitor elections and prevent unlawful election activities of special interest groups. The eighth component is we will create new United States Treasury currency that we're calling rainbow currency, and all these currencies will be backed by gold, silver, palladium, and other precious metals, including copper. Ninth, we will initiate a new United States Treasury banking system that is in alignment with constitutional law. The 10th component is we will eliminate the Federal Reserve System. The 11th component is we will restore financial privacy. The 12th component is we will retrain all judges and attorneys in constitutional law. The 14th component is we will cease all aggressive United States government military actions worldwide. That means we'll have global peace. That is in alignment with the 14th component, that we will establish world peace throughout the entire world. The 15th component is that we will initiate first phase of worldwide prosperity distribution of vast wealth that has been accumulating for centuries. centuries. The law requires that the farmers be paid first because they are the ones that initiated NESARA. Okay, and the 16th component is that we will release enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes. That means we will inject into the economy trillions of dollars. And that was a promise that Trump had made going out in his first term. The 17th component is we will enable the release of new technologies such as free energy devices, pollution cleanup, and sonic healing machines. The 18th component is we will reduce the work week hours to 20 hours instead of 40 hours. The last and final component is that everyone over the age of 21 would receive tens of thousands of dollars, somewhere between 10,000 and more, or 100,000, somewhere in 1,000 per month for 11 years. Some sources say up to 20 million each into a non-interest bearing account. And this money will be gold or asset backed, and it will be monitored in order to ensure that money's not spent on nefarious things like what other millionaires and billionaires had done with money once they had enriched themselves, such as trafficking of drugs and children. So you'll be monitored to make sure you won't do that. The new quantum financial system will actually have some type of device on it where it can read your energy. It will be energy sensitive, so that only your energy can access these monies, and to also make sure that everything that happens with your money is benevolent. So the reason for this money is to compensate for the unlawful, nefarious banking practices of the Federal Reserve central banking system. And then finally, I say, if you found any of this information helpful and you are inclined to do so, then you may contribute to my work by sending a gift. But the greatest gift you can give to me is to get out this information that we are in a new golden era, that we are experiencing prosperity and wealth now. Even if you don't see it or you don't speak, you don't feel it, we have to speak it. We have to command it to be so. And that's about it, family. I just wanted to bring that information to you because I thought this was excellent. And I thought it was very encouraging to see that now we have 46 states that are in alignment with the Constitution and using gold and silver as money. Yes, I will post that NESARA article. I sure will. Can I do what? Yes, you want to print it out. Absolutely. We will be using gold and silver as money. And I wanted you to see that NESARA or GESARA is actually happening. They might not call it NESARA or GESARA. They didn't even make a major announcement. But what they're doing is states are actually moving right now to create laws to make sure that each state is in alignment with the Constitution and with NESARA law. So that's about it, family. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I don't want to keep you long. It's been 1 hour and 51 minutes. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat or put it in the description section of the videos. Like the video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube or Rumble. Share the video and let people know that things are happening now. Again, my name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope I've said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. I will see you in the morning on Thursday. Peace, family. Go out and have a great evening. Sleep well. I love you. Good night. And thank you all, too, for the Cash App blessing. Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon.